Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. So today we're talking contour. Probably my biggest asked question when you are new to 3D foundation is help with contour, placement, blending, application, all the things. So I'm doing another do's and don'ts video because you guys always say that you love those. So today is all about contour. So keep watching if you need help with contouring tips and tricks, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video if it helps you, and thanks for being here. Okay friends, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm coming at you barefaced because number one, we're gonna talk placement, okay? So I'm gonna do this one a little bit differently than I've done in the past, and I'm going to show you exactly where we're gonna be placing that contour. So I feel like our card that comes with the makeup, it shows it to an extent, but let's be real, it does not show the side view. And I feel like with contour, that is the view that counts, right? Because if you're looking directly forward, you're gonna see little to none of that contour on the side of your cheek. And I feel like the cheek is the problem area, right? That is the hardest, I don't wanna say problem area, but it's the hardest part to contour. Like the forehead's easy, the jawline's easy. The nose can be a little bit tricky if you are getting into nose contouring, but for most people, it's that stripe on the side of their face that makes them feel a little like, is my contour blended? Do I have it in the right spot? Does it look natural? All of those things, right? So I get so many questions about contour, so I figured let's do do's and don'ts. I'm gonna kind of walk you through what I found best that works best. What I found that doesn't make sense. What I found that has worked best for all face shapes. So I have done a video on face shapes. I honestly don't feel like that is necessary. Maybe once you feel very confident in contouring, then you can try to step up your game a little bit. But for most people, this is gonna be your general guidelines. Okay, so first let's do the do side, okay? This is gonna be my do side. I don't have any makeup on yet. Also, you can totally contour first. With this makeup, it does not have to be layered because this is the only contour I know of on earth that gives coverage and is also part of your foundation. If you've watched my videos, you know I like to layer my highlight first because I like extra coverage, and that's totally personal preference. So I'm gonna show you guys placement and then I'll wipe it off and do my highlight, and then we'll talk application and blending. So, okay, first things first. First thing I want you to do is take a pencil, something, and find your cheekbone. Okay, we're gonna mainly talk about cheekbones here because that is the hardest part in my opinion. So find your cheekbone and roll it so that you can feel what, like the hollow underneath your cheekbone, okay? Right underneath, and that is the natural line we're gonna follow, okay? So hollow to the cheek, okay? And that's the natural line we're following. Got it? Okay, so now that we have that general guideline, oh my gosh, this hair is gonna drive me cray. Now that we got that, you can kind of see that for most people, depending on how big your ears are like me, it will be mid to upper ear, but will always point in the direction to the corner of your mouth. Okay, now we're not going all the way to that corner, okay? But that is the general shape of people's faces of how the cheekbone naturally lies, okay? So that is what we're gonna place. That's gonna be our imaginary line that we're gonna place the contour along. Now, I always tell people stop about the corner of your eye, okay? So we're gonna go straight down like that. okay? And we're gonna stop the contour there. Now the reason for this, there's multiple reasons, but I know some people like to hug this. I cannot do that because look, when I smile, if I hug my cheekbone, well, I could do it over here. If I hug this is my don't side for me. If I hug that area, okay, then what is it doing? It's creating a shadow right in my smile lines, okay? It's just gonna intensify because as it blends, it's gonna get right in there. And then what happens if it gets in there? It's gonna make that crease look deeper. I've already got plenty there. I don't need it deepened. And it's gonna give us a mustache looking effect. So I tend to only recommend hugging the cheekbone or hugging the cheek area if you don't have any volume here and you need to kind of give yourself one. But that being said, you really have to make sure you almost go higher here and completely stay away from this area. And that's because when you naturally start blending, it's gonna blend in towards your nose every time. So that's why I stop here. It's naturally gonna blend in a little bit, but it's not ever gonna get this far in as long as you stop that far out. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're gonna pretty much concentrate on this line here, okay? And that is where we're gonna apply the contour. Now, one of the really important things I feel like not to do is to go too low. So if I feel my cheekbone here and I start here, okay, can you tell the difference between how my face, let's see if I can do this, how my, I can't draw a straight line to save my life, how much area of my face I just cut off, okay? And I have a pretty long face, so if you have a shorter face, it's gonna really affect the lift you get from your cheekbones, okay? So the ultimate goal of doing this is that we wanna lift our cheekbones, we wanna define them out, kind of give ourselves back that natural chiseled features, okay? And especially if you don't feel like you have naturally high cheekbones, this is totally gonna give you that effect. So from here, look at the space I have right there, okay? And look at this side. I barely have an inch, okay? That is going to drag your face down. And that is a very subtle, like here is my cheekbone, and it's a very slight lowering, but look at the difference when you get to when you actually look at it. That's a big difference. It cuts your face from half, that's about half my face, to about a quarter of my face, and it makes huge difference. We talked about going too far in and too low, and really when it comes to cheekbones, that's the main thing, okay? Then it all comes into blending. So once we get that placement perfect, you're golden. Then we just gotta learn how to blend it out properly. So forehead, we'll briefly go into forehead. Forehead is one of those things that I feel is completely optional. If you have a really short forehead, very much unlike me, you don't have to contour. I feel like if you have a really short forehead, I would just recommend going just barely along the hairline to just frame your face. It's not going to make your forehead look smaller, but it's gonna kind of help blend anywhere that maybe you're a little bit lighter, so you don't have to worry about getting your highlight all the way up to your hairline. I find just kind of putting that color right there so you don't have any like white marks between your hair and your face, that helps a ton. So for me, it kind of varies depending on the day. I have a pretty high forehead, okay? I'm like a 4-finger forehead here. So I usually go about here, okay? And that way all of this kind of is shadowed, so it's gonna kind of shorten my forehead at least give the appearance, okay? Because all we're doing is playing with shadows and light, okay? We're gonna bring the center forehead with highlight, and we're gonna just kind of, shadows recede. So we're gonna make that area just kind of recede a little bit, okay? And so by going about here, and then I'm gonna pull it up into my hairline, and then I'm gonna pull it down to about right there so that that shadow stops around there and is blended in with my highlight, okay? So when it comes to side here, I usually don't recommend going too far into the temples. And that's because most people don't have a lot of space here. You don't need extra shadow. It's just gonna close your face in. But I have a pretty wide forehead, so I do go about here. And that's just kind of my general rule of thumb. So, you know, right where I have the most space, then I stop. So when you hear of contour placement, a lot of people will say, think of the number 3. And all that's referring to is along the hairline, under your cheekbone, under your jaw, and that makes a 3. Hopefully that's a 3 on camera. It might be backwards. So that makes a 3. But the 3 is not necessarily connected. It's not, doesn't have to be through here. So you don't have to follow your complete hairline. Okay, just a general rule so you can kind of remember forehead, under, under. Okay, so jawline again is something that is pretty foolproof, but what I like to do is keep it up under the jaw. Now, some people will put it slightly on the face, so I have a little bit of jowls right here. If you can tell, it's just not perfectly straight. So if I wanted to really more disguise that, I could totally take it up a little bit right here and straighten that jawline. If you don't have much of a jaw, or at least a defined jaw, here you can play with shadows and make it appear more defined. So you can take that color and kind of create that definition. Now, I have a very defined jaw. That's not an issue for me. So I just use it to kind of blend my neck and my face to make sure it's seamless. So if that is what you're after, then just go up under your jaw, apply, and then you can blend it down your neck so you don't have any kind of demarcation lines, okay? But again, you can play with this as little or as much. I just don't recommend putting it too far up here so that you see lines on your face when you're going to blend that out, because then it makes it much harder. Again, you're taking away that surface area here. So if you have a line up here, it's shortening that area of your face and not giving you as much lift. So you gotta take that into consideration. If you're trying to kind of disguise this, it will give you less lift with your cheekbones, right? Okay, let me attempt. I really hope that this will come off. I should have tested it first because I'm pretty sure it's waterproof. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to get this off and we're going to talk application. Yay, it came off. Okay, let's go to step 2 on contour, do's and don'ts. This is going to be application. This part's, I feel like, pretty easy once you get it down. This is the way I recommend doing it, simply for the fact it helps in the next step. It helps you be able to get a good blend when you have consistent application every time. Because if it's not, it's gonna be harder to get your two sides even and to get the same look day to day, which I feel like sometimes when you're new to contouring, that's the hardest part, is just being able to consistently do it and find out what works for you. So I do have videos showing like 7, 9, I can't even remember, it's been a while, ways to apply contour depending on the brush you choose. So application can be a little bit different depending on which brush, but the basics still apply. Okay, so if you are new here, you might not know my love affair with the detail hack. So this is the one I'm gonna show. I feel like if you're having any issues with contour, using this brush will make your life much easier, which is what I recommend if you're new to contouring. That being said, also give yourself a little grace. If you're used to using a powder, cream contour is very different. Once you get past that learning curve, I promise it's easier. I feel like a lot of people come to me and they just are like, I can't get used to having that definition, that stripe on their face. And it is a subtle line of like being able to wear your contour very natural or very defined. And I promise you, the longer you wear contour and the more you apply this contour, you'll get more comfortable with that look on your face and be able to build up till you get that defined look. For me, when I first started wearing contour, I swear I look back in photos and I'm like, but you can't see it, Sarah. Where's the contour? It takes time, okay? I promise. So let's get into actual application, getting the color on your brush and then applying it to the face. So your artist will recommend the contour colors for you, and the brushes and all that kind of thing. For my girls, I always give them options. Most people can use more than one color. If I don't give you an option, it's because really you need to try one shade first before you can kind of venture out. And the reason that is because some colors will pull too warm on certain skin tones. So if you have a lot of redness on your face, I tend to recommend a more cool contour so it doesn't pull orange or red when you use a contour with too much warmth. So there are a few contours that are harder to blend out, I feel like. So if you are doing all of these things and you feel like your skin, if you're just not getting a good blend, usually you need to add a contour with warmth in it, okay? So if, say you're using Ash or Astoria, those are both our coolest colors. You could totally go with Henna if you're using Ash. It has a touch more warmth, or doing something like olive or indigo in order to get a little bit more warmth for those Astoria girls. So that warmth helps blend. Also the opposite, which I feel like is more common, is when it is pulling you warm, and it's because you're using a neutral shade like olive or indigo and it's pulling red or orange. And sometimes you might not even have a lot of warmth in your face and those colors can pull warm. And then you need to go opposite and go to cool tones. So, and then some people are like me, I wear both. I don't mind a little bit of warmth, so I wear them all pretty much. So you could totally play with it, mix shades, all that kind of thing. But know if you have tried numerous shades and you're still getting patchiness, that is usually a skin issue. So we always kind of say our skin is our canvas. If you're having issues, and I have it a lot around my forehead when I use indigo, my skin is dry right here. If I use that color, and it doesn't blend, it's telling me it's time to exfoliate. Also right here along my cheek, same thing. Sometimes I wear Astoria and I have to add a warmer color because it's time to exfoliate. So really having a good skincare routine, making sure you are exfoliating. I exfoliate more than once a week. I do it every 3 days, and that gives me the best possible canvas for a smooth application and a good blend using our cream. Now that we talked a little bit about color, let's talk do's and don'ts. Okay. This is what I find to be, and I'm gonna use, you know what? I'm gonna use indigo. so that you guys really can see it. I've got Indigo and Astoria, but I want you guys to be able to see the color easily. Okay, first I'm gonna do the don't side on getting it on your brush. And I know there's a lot of artists that do this, but I am not one of them, and it is because I don't find it consistently gets the same amount of product on my brush in an even layer every time. And it has to do mainly when you get to where your color looks like this. It's not one level anymore, and you get divots and whatnot in it, and you get dry spots on your contour. And as your contours sit in your compact, they do dry out slightly. So I find this method does not give me an even application. And this is what people do. Okay, can you see the glob of contour that got stuck to my brush by swiping in? I'm a little scared because look, it literally pulled it from the parts of the color that weren't as dry. It pulled from the area that hadn't dried out. So when you're going in with your, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna try to do, okay, this is the don't side. Then you've got your brush and you're sweeping it on the face. Okay, more or less I did it in the right spot, okay? I did go from the top down. What I see a lot of people do is they start here and they go up, okay? So if I would have done that, this giant glob of contour would have been right here in the front of my cheek because, oh my gosh, look at that. Because wherever you touch your face first, it will deposit the most amount of color. So when we do that, okay, let's just do all the don'ts. I'm gonna sweep it here and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go too low. That giant glob is not going anywhere. It's just like, it's kind of blended out, but it's just chilling right there. I'm gonna grab a different brush. Do you see how much color is still on my brush? First of all, that wastes a lot of product. You don't need that much. I mean, I could do my entire face with what is left on that brush. I'm gonna grab a new detail hack, okay? And I'm gonna show you what I recommend as far as, okay, one of the things is either not getting enough on the brush and saying the color does not show up, or let me show you this. So one of our colors that is probably the driest of all of our colors is going to be olive. Now this is a really popular contour shade. It is a medium tone shade. It shows up on me just fine, and I wear mango sandy. I wear pretty dark tones, and it shows up on me fine. But this is what people do. Again, they're just kind of swiping or whatever, and then they're going like this, and they're like, why isn't that showing up? Okay, it looks like it doesn't even show up on me. There's nothing wrong with this color. It's how I'm trying to get it on my brush. This is the driest, and this one's been sitting in my Artist compact, so it is even more dry. If they've been sitting in your compact a little bit and you haven't worn them in a while, or you know, coming out of a quarantine and you haven't worn makeup in a while, use your finger, warm up the shades, then you can go in. Now, there's nothing wrong with this color. It's all how you dip. So my recommendation, when it's in your compact, take your brush, pounce. Now I'm pouncing in with a good amount of pressure, but look, I can now see the color is distributed on my brush very evenly. And since I angled my brush, it's only on half my brush, which I'll show you why in a second. But look, Now I can press on that color. I can see it. I mean, that is like the darkest part of my face, so that's kind of hard. That's kind of a bad example. But see, you can see it just fine. Now that is like a very warm contour on me, so that's why it kind of looks like my forehead, which has just been self-tanned. But I promise you, if you are anywhere up to sandy, you can wear this color. Mango, you might be pushing it. Okay, so it's all how you get the product on the brush. Now we have indigo, so I don't have to pounce as much into this one because this is a pretty dark shade, okay? And look at that. It's even on my brush. There's no globs on my brush. It's just got a nice distribution and it's on half my brush. Now the reason I do this is because if you go in with, do you see how wide this stripe is? Okay, when you just go in and press with this, it's gonna give a pretty wide stripe. I prefer to keep mine high and tight under my, right under my cheekbone. So this allows me to kind of angle my brush and feel for my cheekbone, okay? Now, if you are new to contouring, you can also just use this small end. In fact, when I started, I just used this so that I could feel my cheekbone and then create that line, okay? When you're applying, like I didn't show very well over here, start at the upper part of your ear. This is naturally where your face is gonna be the darkest shadow, right? So if you start here, you're gonna get that glob of product and it's gonna be darkest here. We want it opposite. We want it darkest up here and we want it to fade as it comes to the center of our face. So we're gonna go up here at the ear, okay? We're gonna kind of hug that cheekbone where we can feel it. Oh my gosh, this hair. And we're gonna just press. You see, I'm just doing light pressing motions. I'm stopping about the corner of my eye, and then I'm just pressing right along that cheekbone just to distribute that color. Now this is indigo. This is a very dark shade, and you can stop as soon as you feel like that's enough color for you. I'm gonna try to put on a little bit more so you guys can see it. I swear, my hair is not cooperating today. Okay, so I'm just gonna press that color on. Now, do you see how naturally it's already starting to fade with how I applied? Okay, that is why I apply this way. So I have to blend the least amount possible. Now, this can be salvaged. I am not gonna say it can't be. Cream makeup, there are no mistakes. You see people put it on this heavy on a day-to-day basis. It just takes more work to blend it, to get it to looking consistently good the same day or every day. Use more highlight to kind of cover and erase some of that. And you're just wasting product, in my opinion. When these colors are so pigmented, you probably already know it takes very little in order to get that look and that definition of a shadow on your face. So, okay. So the other thing with application is just not applying enough. And I know I just said this is too much, don't use too much. But I think there's clear difference in enough and not enough, or enough and not enough, is being scared of it, which I said, it's gonna take a little bit of time to get used to that. Now, I still haven't blended this. It's gonna get better and I'll show you guys how to kind of fix that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the forehead. Oh gosh, I'm so bad. I always blend at the same time. Okay, so forehead, I'm just gonna press, and I'm just gonna do my entire forehead. Even though I already put some over here, you can tell. So I was going to apply my highlight and then come back and show you guys how to blend, but I'm gonna show you guys how to fix this. Okay, so let's go under the jaw. And this one I feel like is really hard not to blend at the same time, and every single time I don't, for demonstration purposes, I forget to blend, and then I come home at the end of the night after I've been in public and I remembered I had a stripe that I never blended because I can't see it because it's under my jaw. So I'm blending. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull that down my neck. Now again, the jaw, I always start up here behind the ear because that naturally is gonna be the darkest part as well. Okay, so now that we started blending, let's keep going. Blending is number one, I feel like, when it comes to what's hard about creams. And I promise you, these will help get you the best blend, I promise. So, okay. Number one, biggest mistake, which I guess I'll just do it on this side, is, so I always blend with the brush I apply. Now, you don't have to, especially if you're applying with this end, you could totally just flip it around and use the big end. But some of the brushes I find that are really good at blending, this rounded end of the 32nd or this end of the blush and bronzer brush. I feel like the Buffy is a little bit different because it doesn't exactly pull the color up as much. It is more a pressing motion. So I can kind of show you guys with each brush. I'll be honest, I know this is a very popular brush. I don't find that this brush blends contour well at all because I would have to sit here. It's just so soft and flexible. I'd have to sit here for 20 minutes and blend my contour. And if you guys know me at all, you know I'm all about quick and easy. And when I can do I could do my entire face in the time it took me to blend out my one contour with that brush if I use this brush. So let's first talk blending numero uno, I feel like, which, you know what, I'm gonna do it on this side, so I'm gonna show you because this has so much contour on it, it's not gonna demonstrate it. Number one, they apply it and then they go like this to blend. Okay, it doesn't look too bad, but sweeping back and forth, you guys, it almost just took away the entire contour. Like, in fact, I think most of that's just redness from pressure on my face. Okay, you have a slight shadow there. I guess you could salvage it a little bit with highlight if you really lightened down here and kind of pulled it back up. But that is everyone's biggest problem. It's you're blending too much. It does not need to be in a sweeping motion. In fact, I recommend not like ever sweeping back and forth with these brushes. Okay, so I'm gonna apply a little bit more on this side. Okay, sometimes if there gets globs, you can kind of go like that to just spread it. But I very gently did just to get it in the right location. I wasn't blending. I'll show you how to blend this. Okay, next thing, we'll just continue on don'ts, is they're gonna pull their contour down. What did that just do? That just darkened the entire, I just lost all that area, okay? You never pull down, you always wanna pull up. This needs to stay highlighted. Now I haven't highlighted yet, so it can be fixed if you are highlighting last. Now, if you highlight and then you do your contour and you pull it down, it's just gonna muddy those colors together and you're gonna have to go in, you're gonna have to layer more highlight to brighten that area back up, which is totally possible. Again, there's no mistakes with creams. It can always be fixed. Okay, and I feel like the other thing is leaving harsh edges. So I feel like this one, it doesn't, like this one definitely has, let's see, apply some more. Okay, you see how harsh that is right there? It's not diffusing down and getting lighter as you go towards my face. it kind of just stops. Okay, that's what I consider a harsh edge. And those need to be blended to keep it looking natural. I also feel like blush, which I know I get a lot of people that say, nope, no blush, I just want to contour. I don't recommend ever contouring without blush, because even if you're using the very lightest, like most natural blush, it blurs and it fades those lines together. It keeps it looking natural and it ties it in together, because you apply your lip and cheek along your contour, it goes from shadow into that flush of color that makes it look natural. So harsh edges, adding that blush will then kind of diffuse that harsh edge as well. So let's talk about how to actually blend. My biggest tips for blending and how we can salvage this side. Okay, so when I normally apply, I am pressing on and I keep pressing, okay? So I pressed it on, I'm gonna slightly lift my brush up and just keep pressing along the top of that line. Now what that does is that diffuses the top part of the line and it leaves the bottom part more defined. Now I like a defined contour. You don't have to leave it like that if that's not how you like, but I don't necessarily recommend just like pressing all over, okay? That one needs to be more subtly done. So just keep pressing till you feel like that is fading as it goes up, because again, we're gonna add that lip and cheek color here and it's gonna fade into that color. Now here needs to be blended. Okay, another way to blend, I'm taking my brush and I'm gonna lightly, and I'm barely touching my face, I'm gonna lightly pull that color upwards. And again, this is going to diffuse that line upwards, never down, never down. Okay, we're still lifting that cheek. And I feel like when I showed my harsh line here, I got a little too far in, too low. I'm gonna show you how to fix that. So when it comes to brushes, I said there's a few different ways. Now, throwing stuff. I feel like this brush also does very well at pressing or the flicking, just like the detail hack. That's the 30-second hack. The blush bronzer brush, the B squared, is really good for under. So I like this brush. If you don't like that harsh defined line, and you can do this clean, or you can even, if it has excess highlight, because I like to apply my highlights with this, it will totally blur that line. We're looking to blur it. We're not looking to take it away. We're just looking to blur it. And right here, you can kind of press and blur that line as well. If it's too harsh, which I am really picky about this area of my face, like I don't want it to emphasize this at all. And that's a problem area for me. So what I would do is I would use my highlight, and I'm just gonna grab my main shade and I'm just gonna press it right there. Now I haven't put highlight on yet. So if you're one that like really gets scared about contour and you're afraid you're just gonna have to wipe it off and start over, start with contour. Do your contour first, then you can use your highlight to clean it up. So I can just take my main shade and I can press it on, because remember that contour gives coverage, and press it on. Now if you want to define it back out, you can sweep your highlight, clean up edges, or you can press that along the edge there and give yourself coverage. Now, I tend to do the opposite because I like to give myself more coverage here, and I feel like then when I start putting my highlight up here, it takes away the contour I just blended. Does that make sense? Because I'm gonna be then applying highlight over that. So again, it's personal preference and takes a little trial and error to find out what works for you. You can always go back and add a little bit more. It's not that big a deal. I'm just a little set in my ways after doing this for this long. So I do my highlight, contour. I do it in a certain order for a reason, because it's the fastest way for me. and I'm all about fast. So, okay, so that contour side is golden. Now this color, it's got some highlight on it, so I'm gonna put a little bit of contour. This brush is best for pressing, I feel like. So you can press and pull really easily to blend. If I was doing my contour with this, I would just press to blend, and I would just keep pulling my brush upwards as I was pressing to blend and blur that line, because some people like to apply their contour with this brush. I don't feel like this brush flicks very well. It'd be really easy to blend it completely away if you do that method. You just kind of want to press as you go up. Okay, so let's go ahead and blend this. Really with the forehead, I feel like the only don't in blending is not getting it blended, is leaving the line in between, which is the only thing I ever see, I feel like with the forehead, is not pulling it into your highlight. Because if you don't pull it into your highlight, you're gonna see a definitive line, and that obviously isn't gonna look natural, okay? So just keep that. We already did the neck. So let's take a stab at this bad boy. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab a brush to press. So let's try the 32nd this time. Take this round in, and I'm just gonna start pressing because I got that big glob up there. Oh my gosh. This one might take a little bit of sweeping just to get it off. Okay, and then we're just gonna press and pull upwards. I feel like, can you guys tell indigo pulls red on me? I look, you know, this one, not so much. It just looks nice and shadowed. See how red it is? Well, I also have it on my redness, so it's just intensifying it. So this is why I said, if you have redness on your face, don't want to necessarily grab one unless you're color correcting with the highlight first. That you could do. Okay, now I don't have any definitive line because I blended that down earlier. So I'm gonna pick up my highlight shade and I'm just gonna press it on right along that jawline. Do you see that? And I'm gonna clean up that line so that I get definition. Okay, now it's way in my shadow. Oh gosh, if you guys could see this close up, I still have globs of contour on my face right here. Let's kind of blend that. And it's like stuck in my pores. Oh, anyway. Okay, I'm gonna need some major color correction here. I'm gonna grab my Mango, which is my normal color corrector. You see how much that just toned down that redness? Okay, then I'm gonna grab my main shade. It's still not very defined, and that's because we did blend it out so much and then we blurred it, but it's still giving me some definition. It's not emphasizing in here anymore, but do you see how straightforward you can't see your contour? It should just be right there, and then as you turn your head, it should fade and get darker as you go back. This one does, just it's not as dramatic. So this is definitely a natural look. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my highlights and I'll be right back. Okay, so my highlight is on. I'm feeling a lot better about my coverage. So here you can kind of tweak it. Again, utilize that brush, utilize your highlight, use it like a magic eraser, okay? So anywhere you feel like your contour has harsh edges or you want to blur those lines, kind of pounce that. Now, remember, we did not use one of our #1 tools for blurring harsh edges and lines, and that's the perfector. So I like to get my highlight on first so that way I can perfect that as well at the same time and just pounce it all over. This is what's gonna blur that and take off any excess, okay? Really make sure that you have blended highlight into all those contour areas so you get a nice blend. I'm like pleasantly surprised of what this side looks like. It's not very defined. It is definitely a more subtle contour, but I think you're gonna really like it once we get finished. So now that we've got that, we can go ahead and add our lip and cheek to tie it in together. Here's always the hardest part for me, deciding what colors. Let's do Hollywood. Okay, I'm gonna remember apples of the cheeks along that contour. Now, do you see how less scary that looks now that we have the lip and cheek to where it diffuses into that color? I feel like it doesn't look natural until, now this side looks more natural because it looks like I've got a very faint blush on because I didn't use a color corrector under it and it is a warm contour, so it's pulling that warmth in my face. If this was a super cool one, it wouldn't look the same. But just that color makes all the difference in the world, in my opinion. So that's Hollywood, and then I'm gonna top it with Sunshine State. One of my clients said the other day, if that was a dupe for NARS Orgasm Cult Classic color, and I said, no, it's Hollywood actually. Hollywood is considered our dupe for that. If you don't know, it's pink and it's got slight gold shimmer. But she was thinking it was Sunshine State because Sunshine State is very golden. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I've ever layered those two, but I bet you that would be even more so with an added glow. So I told her I'd try it, and look at that. That is gorgeous. My gosh. So thank you for the new inspiration. I'm gonna be wearing that color a lot this summer. I can tell you that much. You guys know I love my glow. It's like double the glow. Okay. Oh my gosh, talking about shiny. Okay, I'm gonna stop. What's next? Let's do a little illuminator and we should be golden. I'm gonna do a little angel to polish that look off and have it all come together. I knew I forgot something. I didn't brighten. Like, what's wrong with me? I'll be right back. Okay, friends, I'm back. I don't know how I could ever forget not to accent brighten, but I brightened. I actually contoured my nose, my lip, and put on my lip and cheek, on my lips as well, and powdered. Is that it? Yes. So I'm all done. There's the finished look. Let me know if you want me to do a separate video on nose contouring, because I know we didn't cover that today. Give me a comment below if you do want to see it, because that could definitely be a video in itself. So what side is your favorite? I'm pleasantly surprised by this side. I feel like it gives a very natural, warm look, almost like bronzer-esque, but a little bit more defined, and I'm liking it. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you with contouring. If you need help with a color match, be sure to click on that link below in the description box. It says color match questionnaire, and that way I can get you set up with your own custom palette. And there you go. That's contouring for today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Love you.